Welcome. I got up and running just in time for the meeting. All right, welcome everyone. Good to see people either digitally or in person. And we dive right on in. Are there any comments or concerns from the good people of Bristol, or the Energy Committee? Jim, we're looking for you to stir the pot, to raise a rabble here.
Look further.
If you're gonna start out like that, I don't know if we can take it.
Once in a while I do, but I'm keeping a low profile.
Got it. Okay.
It's probably a good idea.
Gonna wait for the right moment. Excellent. Our next order of business is approving the meeting minutes from May, our last meeting. All in favor?
They were great.
They were great. Yeah. Thank you for working that, Ben.
Excellent. Ben.
Right. So weird. There are a few dangling participles. I'm going to let those go though. It's fine. Kidding. All right, Richard has several things to report on.
Yeah, it's interesting. Things are starting to loosen up a little bit now in terms of the monies that we've all been hearing about, coming from the federal government and from the state. And a couple of weeks ago, the governor's cabinet was going through the state, and they met in the morning at the town hall theater. And there were a couple of cabinet heads and then their representatives. Julie Moore was there from ANR, Tibbetts from Agriculture and Markets, and then representatives from the other agencies. And their purpose was to kind of inform everybody in the room, who were mostly town people, energy committee, conservation committee type people, about what's coming down the pipeline regarding the ARPA funding, and also they talked a little bit about the MERP, the Municipal Energy Resiliency Program. And so that was kind of interesting. There were a lot of handouts that I got and brought back to Valerie. And then the kind of the best part was two folks from Buildings and General Services came to Bristol, and two other people, including the state librarian, went to the library. And so they were taking a look at the needs, obviously, for the MERC program. And we had a good discussion here regarding our priorities, and I gave them, the folks we were meeting with, the study that was done on the library, the audit, plus Rose's walkthrough information and so on. And they were very, very pleased to see that. You know, we're trying to give people the impression that we actually have our act together here.
We do.
Whether we do or
There's a lot of people who don't, so it's probably,
Yeah.
And so that seemed to be a favorable sort of thing. I just read today that apparently now the audit funds, our applications are open now, and so I'm going away for a couple of days. But next week I'll get together with Maddie and we'll start working on that to try to get what everybody is saying. Our priority buildings are the library and Holly Hall.
Great.
And we'll try to get contractors' estimates and so on as part of this, so that we'll be ready at the end of the year to submit for the funds. And, you know, I think I'm fairly optimistic about it. In terms of the EV chargers, right now, we missed the deadline for the first round of federal funds, but there's another one gearing up momentarily. And there's a company that, the principal of which has a friend in Vermont, a college classmate, who worked with Valerie on some projects in her previous life. And so he was a known entity, and he introduced the company that is making a lot of EV stuff, including the chargers. They're also into solar arrays and so on. And I think they're trying to now spread nationwide. And so they proposed that they would take care of the entire application process, federal application process, at no cost to Bristol, so that the possibility of getting level 3 chargers installed at the park could indeed be a reality. And it looks like there's no risk to us. I've asked Russ, can't remember his last name, to give us the sample, the letter of understanding that they would like, which essentially says, I haven't seen it, but he said that it says that Bristol will agree if this company completes the applications, that they will be the contractor and supplier of hardware and so on. They will come, their representatives will come, they'll install the chargers, they'll set them up and be with us through the whole process. So, and again, at no cost to us, and all they want is a letter of understanding that that's the case. It's not, a hard contract with 52 contingencies. So we'll see when it comes, and we'll see what the town thinks. Valerie has asked me to handle it, and so my role is to get all this information together and then bring it to her and Ian and I assume the select board. Since there's no money being expended, it's it's really a matter of does the town want to entrust this company with doing the paperwork. There's one interesting wrinkle. And I've been talking to the Green Mountain Power Innovation Center about this. There's some discussion now that level 3 chargers, because the technology has advanced so much, may not be necessary. There are some fast level 2 chargers, higher amp level 2s, that don't require the 3-phase power. So my son-in-law works for Okemo, and of course they're installing chargers all over the place in their parking lots, and they're now going for these fast level 2 chargers. The one advantage is the fact that the level 3s are somewhere in the range of $100,000 to $150,000 a piece, plus any kind of infrastructure stuff. So we'll see how that works out.
How much are the level 2?
The level 2s are right around, for the bank that we were talking about of 2 with Norwich Energy was just over $10,000.
But that's not the new kind of tube.
It's not the new kind, we don't know what the
Oh,
price
we
is.
don't know.
It's not,
They'll be more expensive, but
Maybe less than 100.
I think it's probably gonna be way less than 100,000. Although, again, it's federal money, and if the federal government wants to put in level 3 chargers, we'll have to consider that.
Yeah.
The issues that Okemo is having are the plugs for these things. And apparently, there's a move now for many car makers to start using the Tesla design plug, which would make things a lot easier. So, but that's not something that worry us. So anyway, that's where we are right now with this stuff.
So, Richard, with the company that, we would pay no money for them to install the chargers, how do they make their money?
Oh, they'll build it in. They are able to build it in as their commission costs.
Huh, okay.
So it's built into the grant.
I see.
Yeah, it's not the goodness of their heart.
Okay, yeah, I figured, it was starting to feel a little too much like too good to be true,
Yeah,
so I wanted to kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, good enough.
I think it'd be especially interesting to find out what it would cost a person to charge, a full charge on each of the, whether it's level 2s and level 3s, because that's gonna make
And
a
time,
difference in the time.
time and money.
That's gonna make the difference if they come here, or they go to Middlebury, or they go to Virgins, or something
The
else.
enhanced level 2s, right now, a car can be charged, if it comes in at a 40, they say you can get it up to an 80 in less than an hour.
Yeah.
So if they
That
come
is
in,
kind of slow, right? Aren't the level 3s like 20 minutes?
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're faster.
And how
So-
much money?
But the question is, the money and also, do we want somebody to be able to only spend 20 minutes here?
Yeah,
You know, I
Not
don't-
time to have lunch, right? You want them to
Yeah,
have lunch or
sure.
do whatever.
we want to, all of that is, we have to see.
Yeah.
And that. So any other concerns that I can bring up when we get going on this thing?
No, thanks for all your work on
yeah,
that.
really, thank you so much.
Jim, you have a question?
Yeah, on this grant, this is a federal grant. Is any money to be expended from the town?
From what?
Is any
Any money
money
from-
expended from the town for these chargers?
Karen?
No,
Okay.
No.
Because if we had to put any money in, then you would have to go to bid, and that would negate this company utilizing this.
right,
Okay.
right. Yep,
Good question.
and there's no, it's a federal program with no matching.
Okay. All right, thanks for all your work on that.
Yeah, we'll see.
And all the work of the one before, on the building
Yeah, all
stuff.
the stuff that we've been going through.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see it come to fruition, and it's only been, has it been 1 year or 2 years that we've been,
It feels like about 2 years, but.
It's 2 years.
When you first wrote up the thing for the library, for instance.
was that a year ago?
It was about a year ago.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's not
year.
been,
Okay, it
it's
hasn't been
not
that
really
long.
been that bad.
All
The
right.
MERP is pretty new.
Yeah,
MERP is very new.
Mark is new, yep.
All right. Then Mike Roy, our guest Mike Roy.
Yeah, so, hi, I'm Mike Roy, I live in Middlebury. I just got off the Town Energy Committee meeting this morning, having very similar conversations. And I'm here as part of SEAC. How many people know about SEAC? So it's called the Climate Economy Action Center of Addison County. Sally you were a founding member.
Well, not founding, but I was on it for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
And the mission of SEAC is to think about kind of reducing greenhouse gas emissions in Addison County writ large. And we commissioned this climate action plan, and we have all these ideas for what we can do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in various sectors, housing, transportation, looking at agriculture. And the project that I've taken on is thinking about decarbonization in the what I'm calling the big building sector. So houses are relatively small, but there are these, there's schools, there's churches, there's factories, there's office buildings. And we're interested in thinking about what needs to happen to help people make the transition to a kind of decarbonized way of heating, cooling, running their industrial processes. And so rather than kind of showing up with a list of you should do this and you should do that, and I came up with the idea that we should go on a listening tour. And so I'm here, I'm talking with the Middlebury Energy Committee, the Virgins Energy Committee, and you all, to see if I can convince you to engage in a relatively modest effort to just identify some of the major buildings and people that manage these buildings or own these buildings, to go talk to them and say, like, what are your thoughts about climate change? What are your thoughts about how do you make decisions about how you heat and cool your building, and going in trying to be curious. So rather than having making assumptions about the fact that people are either kind of anti-climate change or that they're never going to do it because it makes no economic sense, to just go in and say, like, I don't know, like, I don't own any of these buildings, I don't manage any of these buildings, so let's go talk to people and just kind of understand where they're at, and what are the kind of blockers, what are the kind of incentives that might get them to make changes in how they operate. So the scheme that I have, I use it in the kind of English version of scheme, which is a plan. So it's not really scheming, it's really planning. The plan that I have is to see if I can talk somebody from each of these 3 towns, and I've talked myself into it, so the Middlebury is covered, but I need to talk somebody in Bristol and Virginia to kind of be kind of a ringleader on this. And then each of the ringleaders has to see if they can recruit a handful of people who would be willing to go out into the community and sort of talk to people they already know, or maybe make some calls to people they don't know, and say, like, would you spend half an hour with me so I can talk with you about how you make decisions about heating, cooling, industrial processes. And the idea would be then, so if we got, I mean, the idea that I have is like, if everybody could get 5, if each community could get 5 people and everybody could talk to 10 people, we would have 150 data points. And then we could get back together again and kind of talk about what were the themes, what did we discover in terms of what would it take to get people to move ahead, and what are the resources that they would need, and then from there decide on a plan. So rather than kind of assuming this is the way forward, sort of starting by just going out and talking to people. And so I don't think I've entirely convinced you to play the role of the ringleader, but I kind of think Richard may have kind of sort of raised his hand on that one.
Yeah, with help.
Yeah.
With help, I know.
And so I come here with, like, I've got a ton of ideas for like how we could do it, but I'm really starting with, like, okay, if I had 3, somebody from Virginia, somebody from Middlebury, and somebody from Bristol, and we got together and kind of talked about, what do we know about our communities, and then think about who are the right people to try to recruit to go off and do these interviews. And I work at the college when I'm not doing energy stuff, and there's a bunch of resources I have access to in terms of just good design, in terms of how you do this kind of work and collect data that you can actually work with. And then once we have a decent plan, we can go forward to the folks that we've recruited and say, okay, here's the script, here's the plan, here's how here's the kind of what you should say to try to convince somebody to talk to you. Here's where we'd like to write down the stuff that you discovered, and then get together and see what we've learned, and then figure out, okay, where do we go from here?
Sounds great.
So that's my my pitch.
Yeah, all right,
That sounds great.
yeah. Do you have a list of talking points at this point, or this is part of the process?
It's part of the process. I'm really trying to, I could generate it all by myself, but I feel like it's better to hold off and sort of get the group together and say, okay, what are the questions we want to ask?
Right.
And there's a way I also want to try to find if there are people who are kind of friendly to the cause that actually own some of these buildings or manage some of these buildings. It would be good to have some conversations with them as well in terms of the process to kind of, because the worry is that people, the energy committee shows up and people immediately get defensive because they think they're just here to try to convince me to install a heat pump.
Right.
And so we're trying to not go in that mode, but really to go in saying, we're just trying to understand what, what's, how you make decisions and what are the things that are, what's on your mind about how you manage your buildings.
And I think we'll find, been reading a lot about how to approach people on these sometimes sensitive issues. And certainly large building owners, a primary concern is what's going to help them reduce their bottom line, to make their business work better. And that can be certainly one of the things that we'd want to say, that we're interested in their thoughts on that, knowing that some of them might be beneficial in terms of carbon reduction. But none of it's going to work unless it works.
That's right.
And we do have folks in Bristol. I'm thinking of one in particular who has retrofitted some of the buildings on this street and up Mountain Street to energy efficient buildings, and is an apostle of that. And so that would be a good person to talk to. So I think we have some elements here.
And so SEAC has an intern this summer from the college, and so that I'm working with her to also start to think about resources for people that own these kinds, that manage these kinds of buildings. So there's, the residential side is a little more straightforward, but we're trying to figure out like what are the different state and federal programs that would help incent people to do that, and just start to think about resource guides. We're also doing a bit of a literature review to just gather like this is not a new problem, and so there's plenty of ink has been spilled. So just trying to figure out what's been already written about the barriers and incentives that work. There's also a fair amount of evidence that like just learning from your peers helps, and so normalizing this kind of behavior. And so finding stories from similar communities of folks that have made these changes, and to your point, can say like, and I saved $10,000 a year because I did this, or I no longer have to worry. I mean, I have the expenses are fixed, and so I'm no longer having to worry about like what's oil going to cost this year when I'm doing my budgeting. So that's part of the idea would be to just try to collect stories from elsewhere, but not so far elsewhere that people don't recognize them. So I think the more I read, like Maine seems to have really gotten their act together. So there's some really, really interesting things happening in Maine. And New Hampshire is problematic, I realize, like Vermont's always like, oh, New Hampshire. But Maine, like, oh, maybe we're more like Maine than we are like New Hampshire. So just trying to collect stories from rural communities that are doing this kind of work, to sort of show people like, oh, yes, you can do this. Here's a phone number. You could talk to this person that runs the same kind of business that you do, that has made these choices. Because we're not always going to be trustworthy because we don't run a school, or we don't run a church, or we don't run a factory. And so they're like, you're just here to tell me what to do, as opposed to trying to help people learn from each other.
Great.
I think, were you raising your hand?
I was raising my hand.
Yeah.
I don't know what format here, but just the first thing that comes to mind, Middlebury and Virgins, lots of business. Bristol, not nearly as much. And, we have the two schools. The old Autumn Park, Mountain Health area. And then everything else is kind of like a residential building load. That's how much energy savings they have. Like all the buildings on Main Street, none of them are really that big in their own right. They're all very confined units, a lot of different owners. So, maybe that just makes our job easy, because we don't have very many people to go to, but it also means the impact for the effort is a little bit less.
Well, we've got Shaw's and Walgreens.
Yes.
We've got the churches.
Fire station.
Churches won't be big energy users, fire station's brand new. Main Street's all, like I said, small individual things that.
I think we can learn from them though. I mean, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think we should talk to them.
I think they might have, yeah, they might have researched things and have something they were really liking, and that could be shared with the others. Yeah, something like that.
And we know
But it's a good
there
point.
are a couple that are probably in need of help.
Yeah.
I think we have absentee landlords that we'll need to get in touch with. to-
What about any new construction coming up? Do you talk with any people who are thinking about doing this stuff, or thinking about a project, or just stick with the businesses?
My thought is that, my hope is to kind of get the team together this summer and like do the work early fall and be able to get together and figure out like what did we learn and how do we move forward. So there may not, I'm not sure just how much activity there is, so.
Yeah.
It is, I've been thinking about that recently about, do you have natural gas in
No.
Bristol?
No.
Well, because I think about like any new construction, if you don't have natural gas, it would be kind of shocking to me to find that people are putting in oil.
Right.
Just because like it doesn't work out financially anymore. Like it's hard to get people off of it, they have these systems already in place.
Yeah.
But if you're starting from scratch, the numbers are pretty clear.
Yeah.
Unless there's natural gas nearby, because then the cost of just plugging into natural gas is so low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it would be when we get the teams together to kind of talk through who we want to talk to, who's interesting. Schools are really interesting because there's also this whole transportation dimension to it. So some of it is like,
Definitely.
you're starting a conversation about like what's going on in your school, but then you're also, it opens the door down the road to say like, oh, and how about your school buses?
But all the school buses in Addison County, as far as I know, are all run by Betcha. So
Yeah.
they're not even, they just subcontract to Betcha. So Betcha probably ought to be part of that conversation, I would
Well,
think.
so there's another project with 350.org that's looking at school buses and sort of wondering like, what would it look like to switch them all to electric?
Yeah, I guess my point is the school doesn't make those decisions, right?
Well, they choose who to
They
contract.
they might influence it, but they don't make the decisions, right?
Well, they choose who to contract with, so
Right.
if they wanted to, they could say like, our RFP says, we only want to do business with people that are offering up electric buses.
Yeah, evolving toward,
So they can influence it
yeah.
by their
the-
contract.
The big problem is, they put out the requests for bids and only got one,
Right,
so that's part of the problem, so.
right, there's not a lot of,
Yeah,
there's
it's,
no competition.
no, but
Good business for
there are
somebody.
people in the state who are assisting that group. I've been peripheral with that group, and we're trying to, one of our goals is to sit down with Betcha and see where they are on this.
All right, wow,
Okay,
lot to chew on there.
yeah, so I'll count you as my point of contact,
Okay,
and then I'm talking with some folks in Virgins, and then we'll start getting a plan together and come back at some point and say like, here's, and part of it is trying to boil it down to sort of bite-sized chunks so that like people could know like, okay, if I volunteer for this, this is what's being asked of me and no more.
Yeah.
And so like, oh yeah, I could imagine myself doing, giving up 15 hours over the course of the next 4 months.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes I've discovered that you get invited into things and suddenly you're like,
yes.
So creepy.
no, that's really
Yes.
not what I thought I signed up
Yeah,
for.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I hear lots of positive murmurings around the table, so I'm sure we'll be wanting to kind of team up on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
that'd be great, I love it, that's great.
Yeah, great. Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, I have a daughter visiting me from Maine that I don't get to see as much as I'd
Oh,
like to,
take
so I'm
off.
gonna
Very
leave
good.
it.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks so
thanks
much
for
for coming.
coming up.
I really appreciate it.
Okay.
It's great.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Great.
Look forward to seeing you again.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
getting something done. I'm already thinking of a contact I know at the high school, like who would know. She won't be the main person, but she would tell me who to talk to. So I'll get in contact with her.
No, this is our facilities.
Facilities, yeah, I guarantee that she'll say, oh, yeah, you wanna talk to blah about that.
Is it, what's his name? There's a facilities guy there.
When I reached out to Krista Seringo, the chair of the school board,
Okay,
about ground source heat pump district idea, she basically said, Floyd Davidson was organizing a facilities community group. And that would be a way to
Yeah.
participate in those conversations. So, and I never heard
He's the
anything
one.
from Floyd, so I don't know
Yeah.
if that's something that's actually happening, or whether it's
Yeah.
open for community members to join, or what the status is.
Yeah.
What is his position?
He's a facilities
He's,
director of
is he?
the, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know, I thought he was, had something to do with the financial,
Oh, right, financial.
finance
Yeah, you're right.
of the district.
Financial, yeah. He's a financial guy, yeah.
Okay.
okay, I might just contact him, see where things are at.
But he was definitely someone I've talked to before, you know, he was talking about different energy things that they wanted to do or not do and stuff like that, so
Okay,
he's definitely.
and is he for both
Accessible.
schools, the elementary and middle school accessible?
Whole
The
district,
whole district,
Oh, okay, okay,
pretty sure.
I think so.
okay.
And that's actually might be one of the blessings and the curse. You have to talk about the whole
That's
district,
right.
not just one school.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, good enough. I will work to get in contact with him. And start talking about the schools. All right.
I've been really curious about Bristol Elementary and what could be done there. I know Mountain's on wood, but Bristol Elementary must be burning oil. And they have that beautiful south-facing roof, you
Totally.
know,
Mhm.
opportunity abound.
Yeah,
I remember
Free
hearing that the electric rate for schools is so low that financially, this is, I don't know, 10 years ago, so maybe it's different now. But their electric rate is so low that it just financially does not make sense from the changeover. Is that accurate?
Well, the problem is their peak, they have a huge peak energy cost, and you can't really, like, solar doesn't really address that.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what efficiency
you
definitely
mean like in
does.
summer or winter?
It's probably winter,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's the sort of a ratcheting
Yeah.
rate where your highest month in the last certain amount of months determines how much you pay on a demand for every month. So if you can get your highest month down, you can reduce your costs
Yeah.
for the whole year.
That's great, yeah.
And so that-
Everyone wear blankets to school for December and
right,
January.
Fingerless gloves.
Come with hot rocks in your pockets. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ah, nice.
That's where thermal heat pumps, ground source comes in handy when you're trying to take heat out of 50 degrees rather than 20 degrees.
But you said they are looking at that, right?
Ground source?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, I thought you said that.
the group that Sally and I talked with
Yeah,
explore district geothermal or district ground source heat pump.
Mhm.
And one of the ideas that came out of that was, well, let's see if we can talk to any local
Mhm.
groups that might be interested.
Yeah, I've been part of that from the beginning, and it's,
Yeah,
Debbie New and
Yeah.
company.
right.
yeah. It's a really good idea, but we talked to the main drillers in Vermont and Spafford, and we have Moncton Quartzsite here, which is really hard to drill in. It's really hard. So that makes it much less affordable to do that work in Bristol. He said personally, I wouldn't go and drill in Bristol.
Really?
We're like, okay,
Yeah, but you could trench in the sand in
That's
Bristol.
true.
yeah, trench in the sand,
That's true.
yeah.
Much cheaper.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
That
a
would be
driller
great.
might say that, but.
I think that if you were working with sharing waste heat and using trenches and networking that way, that's one, but you just wouldn't be able to do the deep boreholes.
But you can do horizontal.
Just cost
You could do horizontal, right?
Yeah,
What deep does the trench have to be?
5 feet,
yeah.
but it has to be long, like
Yeah.
really long.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a big area.
Yeah, so before they put astroturf down on the playing field.
Yeah.
Well, like Bristol Elementary, like the field
yeah.
back there is not a field, it's a
Yeah,
dirt
it's true.
patch that
Yeah.
kids play soccer on.
Yeah,
And so you could easily trench that without
Yeah.
causing really just like disturbing the
Yeah.
Yeah.
landscape.
Yeah,
So I think it'd be a great application to just
Yeah.
take someone to,
yeah,
And the
Design
other,
it,
the
fund
other
it.
question
That'd
is
be great.
what federal and state funds are available that could modify the cost.
Yeah.
Supposedly, there's money hanging on the trees, but I don't,
yeah,
accessing it is
yeah.
daunting.
That's what certainly Debbie's exploring in that whole group. It's a few different groups.
All right, yeah, lots to work on.
Yeah.
Anything else, Richard?
No,
All right,
Allison's got a finalizing detail.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
So we talked about the fact that we are going to, or we've agreed to measure the windows from Bristol, Lincoln, and New Haven that were left over from 2021, or last year.
Last
even.
year, yeah.
And I have the data, there's 5 in Bristol, 3 in Lincoln, 1 in New Haven, so, and 2 of them have already been measured, so there's not a huge amount, so I guess I just wanted to, my notes from April indicated that Carl, Mike, and Sally and I would do measuring,
Yeah.
but I'm wondering if you and I
think we
could just do
need-
it.
Yeah, I think we just need 2
So,
people to do it.
What I'm gonna do is talk to
less
Jamie about
Confusing.
assigning them, you as the lead, me as the co.
Yeah,
And we
and
just,
you use the computer who would actually put the stuff in, and I would be the measurer.
that's fine.
So you would probably have to do the.
So if you're good with that, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
reach out to him, tell him I'm gonna assign us, and we can just go
Yeah.
at it.
That's great.
Cool.
Does that work?
That's the way to go, yeah.
Okay, and then I'm assuming that some of us will volunteer and help them.
Oh,
Yeah, that's gonna be needed.
start with the measuring or?
No, with the
Yeah.
building.
With the building, yeah.
Set up and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably setup will be important.
Yep,
I would
so,
think. Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, I'll just reach out to him and.
Do we have a date for the,
We do, I wish I had that, I didn't bring that.
No,
with me.
just send it to
Yeah,
us.
I will, I'll
Yeah.
send that to you, so everybody
Yeah.
knows.
That's great.
And then I was also hoping that maybe, we talked about, doing something at the Harvest Festival. And I would like to not really solicit customers, but solicit volunteers, so that
Yes.
maybe we could have a build next year
Hmm,
here.
Yeah,
worth a try.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
so volunteers, oh, yeah,
The local coordinator, measuring coordinator,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
leadership team,
right.
so that we don't all. have to
Yeah,
do
definitely. So talk about it at the Harvest Fest. That's a
I
good
think
idea.
we'll have a table, we'll
Yeah,
talk
that's a
about
great
it.
idea.
I can talk to it
Yeah,
in my sleep
absolutely.
yes, I would think so.
at this
That
point.
sounds great.
Because I don't know, I think it'd be great to have one here.
Yeah. We did love having them, but it was a lot of work, so it's a lot of work.
I do
and-
know it's a lot of work.
Did we go twice?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did, but it
Yeah.
wasn't us, it was Stephen really ran the first one. The second
And it
one,
was Maggie.
Maggie from New
Yeah.
Haven, she was amazing.
She's
She-
fantastic.
Same with Steve, he was amazing, Stephen, and then I just can't imagine running one personally, it just seems like overwhelming to me.
Mm.
So, but you're like more involved, so maybe you're more tuned in or something, but it's a big process.
It is a big
to do.
process.
So, but if we all did it together, worked
Mhm.
together, we could do it.
Especially with lots of lead time, but
Yeah.
Right, if we could decide, in the fall that, yeah, we're gonna do one next year.
Yeah.
And I think we'd get a lot of help from, the guys in Middlebury who did the Rotary guys.
Yeah.
I've talked quite often with Spence Putnam, and I think
Yeah.
those guys would be willing to help us,
That's great.
We have the Masons here in town, who might be willing to jump in.
Yeah, have a project.
Yeah, great, that might be, yeah, a group that would like to just
Yeah.
So I could talk
chip into a
to,
community
I
event.
could talk to, what's his name? I'm having a senior moment,
Yeah,
sorry.
sure, you're with seniors, we get it.
Who's on the Mason?
Foster.
We're talking about.
Yeah, Ben is-
Cecil,
Yeah.
Cecil Foster.
It takes a group to remember.
I don't know, I got nothing to say.
Yeah.
and Jim Burt.
Bert, yeah, those guys are kind of the leaders of that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So maybe I could talk to them and see
Yeah.
what they
Sure.
think, because that might not be bad.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then if we did it, and we did it maybe with Middlebury, then, they could do measuring down there, we could
Yeah.
do stuff up here, and then we could all work together to do
Yeah.
a build, because it would be, I think there's a lot of demand.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, from, the Middlebury area that aren't gonna get their inserts again this year, just because nobody, I
But they
convinced Spence to measure in Middlebury, but there's people in East Middlebury and people in Shoreham and Cornwall, and
yeah,
so those guys will have to wait another
So
year.
they're on the waiting list.
They're on the waiting list.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
And Jamie's getting pretty full,
yeah.
so.
Do you ever prioritize based on either income or single pane window versus something else? Or is it just first come, first serve?
It's been first come, first serve, but, really, we would want to prioritize non-paying customers, right? Because those are the people we really want to reach.
That's what Middlebury did
Right.
last year.
Yeah, the Rotary last year got I think a $6,000 grant from like Rotary International,
Mhm.
and they had to match it. So they had $12,000, and they did a lot of, build a lot of windows at Charterhouse and Hope. So they did a lot.
Nice.
And then there's a lot of grants that we could get, there's the Grassroots Fund.
Mhm.
Well, I think this year they funded 13 window dressers projects in Vermont and Maine.
Yeah.
And they give up to like $4,000. So when we
Yeah.
could, the grant process is really easy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
simple.
We could do that. So we could
And
get,
really focus on people who really need it here in Bristol.
that's the thing I'm learning
I think
through
that's
this
great.
work is there's a lot of stuff out there,
Yeah.
but it really doesn't get to the people that really
Yeah.
need it the most,
That's
which
something
is
that doesn't,
frustrating
yeah.
for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I think that'd be great.
I have this fantasy when I look at the buildings on Main Street.
Yeah.
Not all of them have efficient windows.
I know.
Right,
And
absolutely.
Yeah,
renters aren't usually in the position to
Yeah.
lay out the money, and the landlords, if they don't pay for the heat, aren't.
They don't care, they're
Yeah.
not motivated.
So, I wish we could somehow, and maybe in our talks with building owners,
yeah,
we can begin to explore that as
that's a
well.
good idea.
The state of Vermont also has, I've been talking to a couple people, these landlord liaisons that work for the state. And they're starting to try to talk to them about things like that.
What office are they on, do you know?
I'll have to, I'm sure I have notes at home, but yeah, I've talked to a couple people, because like in Bennington, they have like, I think 60% of the real estate in Bennington is rental property.
Wow,
So they want to go after those kind of things, so,
yeah,
yeah, so I'm trying to get some contacts, so,
Okay, yeah.
because that would
That's a
be
good
interesting,
resource,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the building at the end of the street where the bar is,
oh, yeah.
I would think that would be a really good,
Who owns all those buildings, do
well,
we
that's
know?
what I'm
Different
good.
people.
Oh,
Yeah,
I have a sheet that's an old sheet. I'd like to get an updated one.
because the Wells must own,
yeah,
They own, yeah.
and they own the building that that B fits in, the
Yeah.
old schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
They
Right.
have inserts at the old high school, my office is there, and they have these inserts that were there when they bought it. Metal, but with two sides of plastic.
Really?
Yeah, it's great, it makes a big difference in the offices.
Do they come out in the
Yeah.
spring? Huh.
Yeah,
So they've got a way to store them somewhere
somewhere
securely.
probably, yeah,
storage
somewhere.
zones.
When Optimal Energy owned that, or rent, at least, I think they owned it, didn't they?
I don't know
Optimal
about
Energy,
Optimal Energy.
they now are Energy Futures Group in Heinsberg,
Okay,
or they kind of merged.
Yeah.
They
Richard
retrofitted that building.
Richard
Yeah, Richard
Basie?
Basie.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
Energy Futures Group.
Yeah,
Optical Energy was, Phil Rosenthal and
oh, yeah,
Yeah, they had an office
a bunch
in
of
there,
others.
right?
They had an office
Yeah,
in there,
yeah, yeah.
and so they retrofitted that whole building,
that's why they had that,
which is why they have the storm.
because they were energy wisdom people.
Yes,
Wow, it's great.
window therm,
Mm.
well, it's a storm window, it's much more rugged than the
Yes.
window dressers
Yeah,
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
it's metal.
Well, but the film too is
Mhm.
is
Oh,
not like not as easily torn up by a cat. kind of
Yeah,
thing.
right.
There's a tree.
Which I saw a window dresser at somebody's house the other day,
Oh, shredded.
totally shredded.
Yeah, I've often thought that windows should have the cat owner option.
Well, some people have talked about putting, like a plexiglass
Mhm.
sheet, like a, like maybe the yay high across the bottom to
Right.
keep cats from
Yeah,
scratching at it.
That's
Some
a good
people have
idea.
done that in their own homes.
that's what they should do,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
should do that,
Yeah, that would be easy to
Yeah.
add to
Yeah,
the
exactly.
the lower half or something even.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Include little pre-cut pieces for people to take home with their window dressers, and
Yeah.
cat owners,
Yeah, call
cat
it
owners add-on.
the cat option.
Cat owner add-on, I like that, I'm gonna write that down.
I love it. Nice.
Great, so I'll reach out to him and then I'll touch base with you and we can figure out how to
Yeah.
get it done.
Okay, what we need is to borrow.
I have,
You got that?
I have the lasers.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've got one you can use too.
Yep, I have one too.
Okay.
Great.
Nice.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks for your work
Well,
with that.
thanks for helping with that, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it for some years now, it's just so,
You're so good at
I'm
it.
so, well, I'm just so,
I've been a
Used to.
recipient
right, we did your place.
twice.
All right, so,
And then the Virginia Energy Fair.
okay, yeah, that's right. So just yesterday, I heard about Virgin's Energy Fair that's happening on the 15th of July, on a Saturday. And,
15th of July.
and so, and I had just seen Cheryl Brinkman the day before on an Adams County Regional Planning Commission thing about, well, that's where I learned about it. And then the next day, I talked to people from the thermal energy group. And we said, oh, let's go there and we can talk to people about thermal energy networks and, that kind of thing. So I just signed up for that.
All right.
But it made me think, we just missed out on doing our POCOC one. I could at least bring the Efficiency Vermont things that are time sensitive, like the
Energy kits.
energy kits, have the cards for the energy kits, because Efficient Vermont gave us a whole big box of tons of materials for the POCOC one, and then it got canceled.
Well, it's rescheduled though.
It's rescheduled,
Right.
but we need to talk about that.
But the energy kits expired
Yeah.
Oh,
end of June.
Yeah,
Oh.
so, end of June?
no,
Oh, never
that's
mind.
next week.
Yeah,
Then
July
this is
1st.
July, so that's not gonna be any good, energy kits. Done. Okay, the other was the rebates that started last October 22. How long do those go? Because the cards that I had in the box, it's for, I have it right here, how about that? And this is the one that I had for the energy savings kit.
I wonder if it would make sense to go to the farmer's market
Oh,
on
yes.
Monday and just walk around handing
Totally.
Oh,
them.
that's a good idea.
That's a really good
Oh,
idea.
yes,
That's what we can do
perfect.
for these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
But they'll only be good for another week.
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
there'll be urgency,
You have to just call, and I don't know, I tried it today, I called, but I had to just leave a message because no one answered.
I just figured out when it's gonna expire. I thought that the kits themselves would rot.
Yeah, right.
They're no good.
Yeah.
Actually, do not put on, okay. Got it, all right.
These are all good.
Yeah, the
These are all
bulbs,
good.
the
Yeah,
bulbs are
they're
made
good.
out of
I mean,
cornstarch.
after July 1st, sometimes things change
Right, it's
with
been a day.
new rebate offers.
Yeah,
We expect now that the state budget is passed, that the next round of ARPA funding is gonna be available, and that's gonna only enhance those.
okay, so it's not like they're gonna go away.
Not gonna
they'll
go
just be
away,
enhanced.
but they might change around a little bit.
Yeah, okay,
So you could hand that out.
we could hand these out
Yeah,
over at Virgin's, great, and this,
And at the farmer's market if we wanted, right?
yeah, right in front of us, right here.
I feel like we need, honestly, Bristol Energy Committee t-shirts, so that we don't look quite so like weird people just handing stuff out, but that we
You know,
look like
that's
an
a good
organization,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I wonder if we could get Ian to design a t-shirt for us.
yeah. I could see,
Bristol Energy.
personally, I might, well, it'd be good to have
Like a
an
cool
official one.
logo.
But
Yeah,
I could see myself like, I don't have that on, I had my own painted t-shirts, so I could put my own personal one, and,
Cool. Yeah,
and maybe everyone could have their own painted one that I could even paint, you could give me a shirt.
I think your next energy committee meeting should be painting shirts.
Okay,
Maybe that sounds
There we
fun.
go. We all do our own, I'll bring them in.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Let's do
Or
that.
another day
Okay.
outside. or-
Well, yeah,
Let's see if there's something else I
Ideas are
wanted to
popping.
add to that, though. Okay, so then the other is, Harvest Fest is the 23rd of September. I signed up for a tent for a booth for us. I sent in the money. I haven't heard back that she received the money or that we're on, but I will call them just to make sure.
who's organizing that? Is that Core
It's Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce? Huh?
Addison County Chamber of Commerce?
Oh,
I know,
huh.
yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, what was the date on that again, please?
September
September
23rd.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they've been doing it for years.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that come.
I don't know if they're as
I
excited
see.
about, our committees, but they're trying to help businesses, but whatever they guess. I paid $75, so that is something maybe I could get back from the town. I don't know if Bristol Energy Committee gets any money at all,
We have
still no money.
According to Ian, we have no
Okay,
budget.
whatever,
That's something we might want to think
Yeah.
about proposing and
Yeah.
maybe for the next town budget.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some towns do have that kind of thing.
The people who get the money are the people who ask for the money.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
You could always raise it on the floor too.
Yeah,
right,
Yeah, you just gotta tell them specifically what you want to
that's
use
right.
it
At the
for.
end, everybody's
Well,
just wants to get out the door.
It's on
Yeah,
the
for God's
floor,
sake, yes,
just
just give them the money.
To the budget, to add whatever you want and see what you vote, see if it's voted.
Yeah.
You mean rather than do the petition?
Yeah, if the petition doesn't work out.
So that could be part of our, yeah, we'll have to look at deadlines, but I would think we could even get signatures at the Harvest Festival on the petition.
Yeah.
I don't know how many we
If
need.
you need like 10%? I know when we did
Something
it for the
like
food
that.
shop, we needed like, I don't know, 130
Yeah.
or something.
yeah,
It wasn't huge.
Well, if we get our T-shirts, we can go around. I think that's a great idea, so
Okay.
people
It's more
know
official,
that we're not,
Exactly.
not just crackpots.
just-
It's a
Yeah.
whack job. and-
Hand it
Or
out stuff.
trying
Oh,
to take
we are, but
advantage.
still. But still, we also have
We're organized whack
We
jobs.
have to be crackpots. Yeah. I think that's in the job description.
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as, we didn't get to do the Pocock. There is one, what was the other one we were thinking about doing?
Pocock, Harvest Fest, and
But there was-
maybe occasionally at Farmers
Farmers
Market.
market, that's what I had written
Okay,
down.
farmer's market, okay, so that sounds good. I was thinking there was some thought about doing 4th of July or something like that, or, maybe
That's
that's just too
so
close.
mobbed.
It's mob, and it's too
Yeah.
close to the Harvest Fest, I think.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, we'll just go with this.
When is Pocock rescheduled?
19th, August 19th.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. Pocock is scheduled for August 19th, so would we really want to do one August 19th and didn't do September 23rd?
Maybe we do different things.
33 days later?
Maybe we do
Whatever,
different
35 days
things.
later.
I think any opportunity to get the public to
Okay.
know that there's actually a Bristol
Okay.
Energy Committee.
Okay,
uh,
great. Okay, that then.
Yeah, so maybe I'm just thinking what you just said. We have a table at like Pocock, right?
Yeah.
And we just talk about, we make a poster or do something just about outline what it is that we do.
Yeah.
And maybe a list of who the members are,
Yeah.
just so we can educate people.
Yeah, just about what,
What we
care
are,
about,
what we
and
do.
what would you, and ask them, what would you want
Yeah,
the
what-
Energy
what
Committee to do
input?
for you
Mm.
as a resident?
Maybe we have a box with some, they can write a little whatever, and stick it in a box. I don't know.
But in order to say that, I think we need to have people sign up for stuff, because,
Mhm.
that's, Pocock kind of was gonna be canceled anyway, because we didn't have people there, so.
Right, yeah, that's fair.
So, what's the day again on that?
August 19th.
19.
So,
We'll put that on the calendar and I'll set the day aside.
okay,
I'll do morning again, so
I think, actually, I would rather be the one who organizes the Harvest Fest one, and whoever wants to do the Pocock, they can organize it,
Fair enough.
because I've
Yeah.
already organized it.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm up against
Yeah, you got a
You
lot
have
going
several
on. You have too many
full
things on
plates.
your
Yeah, you're good to go. I'll take Pocock.
Okay.
I can be in contact for that. I know who the contact person is. Okay, I'll get in contact with them and just let them
Yeah,
know we would like to be here on the 19th.
Alicia, or whatever.
And then I'll email y'all and, find out what times.
Because that goes, what, 1 to 8?
It was 3 to
3 to
8.
3 to 8, yeah.
And, yeah, set up ahead of time, start at 3, be ready to roll at 3, and then hopefully, they say that the cars come in at 8, so I think you'd have to break down at 7:30 or something.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
But something like that. You can ask Alicia, I guess.
Okay.
Well, the other thing that I had sent you that note about from the guys in Essex about the Champlain Valley Fair.
Right. Did they
And
get
you
other
would-
people signing
I
up?
don't know, I haven't heard anything more, so I'm gonna reach back out. I mean, I know
Okay.
I signed up for a couple of shifts.
Yeah,
Thought it would, I mean, it can't hurt, right?
right. And you get to go to the fair.
You get to go to the fair for free.
And who was it that was?
I ran into a guy at the VCAN.
Okay, right,
Summit, a guy that I've been trying to work on, a guy from Williston.
okay,
And he gave me the name of somebody in Essex, because they have an energy, all the different energy committees support this table that to talk
Okay.
about weatherization and energy and
Okay,
efficiency
great,
and stuff, and I
great.
was like, oh, I'd be interested in getting in on that.
sure,
So I haven't heard, so I'll find out.
that's great.
I don't know if any of you signed up, but,
I signed up for a shift.
yeah,
Oh, that's great.
I mean, people from Bristol go to the fair.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Last year, we had
It's Champlain Valley, it's not just Chittenden County or Addison County.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's the biggest fair in the state.
I'm
isn't
sure it
It's
is.
gotta be, yeah.
So I'll find out.
That's great. Maddie did it last year, she put it together, Addison County Regional Planning, put one together, an energy thing.
Oh, I
That
wonder
was
if she's
field
doing
days.
that this year.
Field days, we're not
Yeah.
talking about that.
No, this is Champlain Valley.
Yeah,
That's what I did last
Yeah.
time we were talking about it.
I wonder if she's doing that again this year.
No, she's not.
Oh.
As far as I know.
I'll try to remember to ask her.
Champlain Valley,
For field days.
Essex.
okay, right,
Yeah, the
that's
big
one.
one, the big huge
Okay.
one.
The big
Yeah.
one.
Okay, yeah, never mind, yeah. Those- 2 meetings in a row, I messed that up.
Too many things going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think we're good.
Ben, we're all good?
We're good. I will type up the notes and send them out to everybody.
Thank you, sir.
thank you so
Appreciate it.
much. Oh, look at this.
Jim, always good to see you. All right.
Who are those people up there?
Those good-looking people, those young folks.
I know.
They're getting stuff done. All right,
Okay.
Perfect.
thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.
See you then, take care. See you, Jim.